Hey everybody. Today we're going to go ahead and just do a video real quick to talk a little bit about the 2022-23 goal setting process that we are all going to kind of jump back into. We're all doing this regardless of our level. Here we go. All right. So the contents of our presentation today are to talk a little bit about talent ed logistics. For many of you, obviously, you've done this a number of different times, and obviously things look a little bit different during COVID. So we're just getting back and going on it for those of us who've been around for a bit. For some of you, it's your first time doing it. And so it's nothing to be stressed out about. And we will all do it together. And our goal, is to make sure it's actually a productive process and we're learning from it. And it's actually making differences for kids. So we'll also talk about some sample goals, student growth goals, professional goals, and some timelines to keep in mind. Next.
All right, so this slide has some helpful links. It has your Talent Ed login, which is your same credentials you use to get into email and the Google portal. There's an at a glance for Talent Ed that will kind of show you some of the resources and how to use them and where things are found. The North Clackamas website has all of the documents that support our evaluation process from North Clackamas, and then the next couple are about the priority standards. At the bottom, you will see on the document that's priority standards for probationary teachers, you will see at the bottom the standards that you are evaluated on. There's going to be Probe 1, Probe 2, and Probe 3, and those are the standards in which you are asked to demonstrate proficiency in for the year. So you'll see which are assigned to you on that document. If you're a specialist, the priority standards are here for you. And then also a support guide from North Clackamas.
Okay, so here's what's coming up. Oh, I'm sorry, Michelle, that's you.
No worries. So we are going to be scheduling our observation, scheduling our pre-meetings, doing a formal observation, and then a post-meeting. That's what's going to happen if you're probationary and on a contracted formal cycle. If you're informal, you're just going to participate in the goal setting. Everybody does the goal setting for the year. The forms that you're going to complete over the next week or so is a self-reflection, setting a professional goal, and 2 student growth goals. And then, of course, if you're a probationary and on a formal cycle, we will set up our pre-observation so we can start our first observation in November.
All right, now it's my turn. So we're going to talk a little bit about self-reflection and your professional goal, understanding that we're trying to get our drafts done prior to the goal setting meeting. And we'll talk a little bit more about kind of what's expected when the meeting is scheduled coming up here. So next. All right. So the first part of it is going to be a self-reflection. And, and on this one, we want you to be as honest as possible. There's no right or wrong answer here. I know that if you're anything like me, we're very often our very worst critic. So just please go through there and give yourself an honest rating as to where you feel you are. This will help us understand kind of what areas that we, as your support administrators, that we can come in and help you with. If you need an extra set of eyes on things, or there's an additional training that you'd like to go to, then we'd be able to do that for you, just to be able to help and make sure that we're supporting your work. And understand this is not factor into your final evaluation at all. And it just helps us determine where you are, so we're all on the same page. So it helps us focus our conversations. All right, we're going to go ahead and look at a couple sample student growth goals. And when you come in for this opportunity, you can come in just with a draft, or even if you just come in with an idea, then Michelle and I can help you kind of think through it a little bit and find out what's going to work best for you.
And these can also be worked on with your PLC group. You can all have a similar student growth goal.
Okay, so there's a lot here, and I'm not just going to kind of read it verbatim, but the biggest thing is you want to make sure that you have 2 goals. You want to make sure that it's encompassing all students in the course, and that you teach the most sections of. You want to make sure that you're focusing on a target group of students, And one, Michelle kind of mentioned this, one could very much be working with your team or your PLC goal. That helps to kind of bring things together. You're going to want to make sure that the data is related specifically to individual student growth. Okay. For each goal, identify the criteria for what meets and what exceeds. This is really important that we flush this out. This next piece is kind of difficult with regard to the baseline data. If once you identify your goal, understanding that we're already 2 months in, but you're going to want to make sure that you're able to get a baseline so you can actually measure what it is that you're trying to grow and trying to assess and measure. So doing our basic SMART goals, which we'll talk about here in a second, you want to make sure the goal is always written to 100% of your students meeting their growth target. But the progress is based upon how many actually do. And so we'll be able to kind of break that down in a second. So we're looking at exceptional progress, good progress, limited progress, and no progress with the category of is less than 70% of the students met that target. So you can read through this. And again, we're going to send you these slides so you can kind of read through it and understand what you want to focus on when you are looking at your student growth goals. We're going to ask about, it might be in the next slide, but I was in the last slide, looking at that SMART, if it's specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. And you got that number 3 there, 4 there, those who have done SMART goals before. So with it, in regards to it, I want to make sure that you're indicating what measure you're using and what does that assessment look like. This is really important. You want to make sure you're describing the student population demographic that you are assessing. Are you SPED, the ELD, a certain grade level, things like that. Next, again, looking at that baseline data. If you're coming in and we don't have good baseline data, we can help you think through that and find out, make sure so we need to know where we're starting from so we can assess if we achieved it. I'm going to want to know why you chose that goal or skill. Different strategies. What are you planning? What are you going to do differently that you've done in order to achieve the goal? And again, this is the big part here is what professional learning supports do you think you need? What do you need to learn? And how can your administration, your administrators, your support administrators, and your PLC team support you in doing that? So a sample student growth goal could be, by June of 2023, 100% of my students in my math class will meet their growth targets based upon their preset scores. So here we're looking at the growth. Students, 60% will score 75 to 85, 61 to 75 will score 85 to 95, 76 to 90 will score 95 to 100. So at that point, you saw good growth within all those areas. And if a student scores greater than 90% of the pretest, an alternate assessment could be provided to assess deeper learning. So if you have a student who's already meeting it, then at that point, you're going to want to see what are some different things you could do to really extend that learning for the student.
All right, so now we're going to move on to a professional goal. So this is a sample goal you'll see is going to be around our building-wide focus of professional collaboration. Sorry. And of course, we cannot tell you what to set as your professional goal, but this one is just something that we're all working as a building, so you could use it if you'd like. So again, with the professional goal, you have to look at this, the continuum of indicators for the Danielson framework, and let us know which domain it falls under, what indicator that you're focusing on, explain why you're choosing that as your professional goal. Of course, using the SMART goal matrix of specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Letting us know how you're going to accomplish it, what do you need from your supervisors, how can your PLC, and then at the end of the year, you'll be able to provide us the artifacts and evidence that demonstrate your completion of that goal. And so since our district-wide and building-wide focuses on collaborative learning, here is a sample professional goal that you can absolutely use that talks through which domains it hits. It's 4E, 2C. It's the goal would be by June 2023, I will incorporate at least 3 new strategies to increase student collaboration in my class. How are you going to do it? Participating in building wide professional development. You're doing that once a month with Avid already. We're trying to also integrate that into other PDs that we have. And then using your PLC to identify the strategies that you're going to go and then try it in your classrooms. Support, I will need feedback regarding collaborative learning in my class during observations, as well as time with my PLC to discuss strategies. So maybe you're letting Greg and I know prior to the observation that that's something you want us to look at, what collaborative strategies you're using, wanting us to keep an eye for them. And then at the end, you would provide us with lesson plans or a journal or observation that demonstrates that you have obtained that goal.
All right, so timelines for completion. By the time you see this video, we're going to get it out to you ASAP. We would like to have you've at least watched this video by this coming Friday. I know there's no school on Friday, so if you can get a chance to check it out in the next couple of days and let us know if you have any questions by the 14th. We're asking from on the 24th to 28th, goal setting schedule with admin for all probationary and on-year evaluation teachers to review self-reflection and discuss goals for the year. If you're asking yourself, am I P1, P2, P3? Am I on year? Am I off year? We're going to send all of that out in the weekly update that will go out on Sunday at 4 p.m. as it always does. But if you want to know prior, just come let us know and we can let you know where you are. I'll probably just go ahead and throw a link in there on the weekly update right now. So by the time you read this, if you look on the helpful links area, it'll have who you have. And so you'll know what to look for. So it'll already be there in case you're curious now. We'd like by the 7th to have by November 7th to have all goals submitted and reflections completed for probationary and on-cycle teachers. For all off-cycle teachers, make sure that you have your goals ready to go and submitted to admin support by 11/14. For those who are on cycle and probationary, when we sit down to do our goal setting meetings, then Michelle and I will be able to kind of walk you through how many observations we're doing, what that formal evaluation process looks like. One of the things that kind of drives me crazy is when we do an evaluation process and we're just kind of checking the box. That's not how we roll. We want to make sure that it's actually useful for you and not just to check the box. Over the course of the next few weeks, when we get a little more support, Michelle and I are you'll hear some more on this, but just FYI, sneak preview, spoiler alert, is that we're going to do an every other day rotation where she and I will go back and forth with regard to classroom days and building support days. So you'll be seeing us a lot more in your classroom. And I know we're super excited to see all the great work you're doing. So thank you for that. All right. So that's it. Again, take a look at the weekly update. We'll have all the links in there to begin to look at things. If you need a thought partner or there's something keeping you up at night, this will be a good process. Nothing to stress out about. But it feels good to be getting back to instruction. And thanks.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.